Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and I got a review for you today by request from my dude José and Ferdbird. This is going to be Ghostlore issue number 1 from Boom Studios. It's written by Cullen Bunn, art by Leomacs, colors by Wordie, and letters by Ed Dukeshire. Before we get started, please like, comment, subscribe on this guy's channel. The repetition is important, but honestly, please comment down below. So this book, it's pretty straightforward. Honestly, I'll give you a couple thoughts as we go on. But it starts off in a church, and it's with this family that resides in the church, works in the church. I don't know how you call it, but it's a mom, dad, and a daughter and a son. We don't really get names of the mom and dad. The dad is the preacher, and the daughter is Harmony, and the son is Chris. They're basically having like normal family problems. The father is complaining about less people being in church. The daughter is caught smoking, but she's supposedly about to head out in a couple of years to New York to do college. The father's complaining that the son has stopped talking to him and he wished he could connect to him, kind of thing. But eventually the sermon ends. Everybody says their goodbyes. They get in their car and they head home for the night. The dad actually does something cool where he gives Harmony, the daughter, the keys to practice and drive home on the way home to get ready for her driving test. She even makes a comment that she doesn't need a driving test because she's going to be in New York riding the subways or whatever. They get in the car, and there is this is the first thing you see in the book that's kind of like a supernatural, let's just say. But they do head out on their journey. There's nothing really specific, nothing, and they do have the scene right here, but it makes it look like, oh my God, she's about to crash into something. And of course, that's what happens. We get to the next page and we see this like, it looks kind of like a ghost version of a boy holding a little teddy bear in the middle of the road. And of course, she swerves out of the road and a major car accident, right? She slams into a tree. We do see the aftermath shown here. The dad ends up being pinned down. His legs are pinned in the front of the car. Harmony otherwise is okay. The airbags kind of saved her, but we don't know what happened to Mom and Chris in the back seat. But instantly from the back seat, Chris starts talking. His father is all ecstatic because Chris hasn't talked to him in months. But Chris all of a sudden starts telling Harmony and Dad that he needs to tell them something and they need to listen. Harmony kind of mentions if anybody else in the car saw the little boy that she swerved, and the dad is like, no, I was looking at the road when you swerved and there was nobody in the road. He was like, there's nobody there. She kind of mentions that there's a lot of people there, and the book pans over and shows us that they're surrounded by, like, it looks like at least 30 or 40 ghosts. What they appear to be ghosts, but she's kind of stating that there's a lot of people around them. We go back to, it's basically the dad, and he's trying to get out of the car. Harmony, she's still trying to figure out what's going on with all the people around the car, because it's not stated that she's seeing ghosts, she's just seeing people, kind of thing. In the back seat, Chris is still kind of mentioning that he needs to tell them something and they needs them to shut up and just listen. The book kind of does this whole flashback thing where the art changes and everything cues you in that it's a flashback. I love the art in this segment, though, I will say. But we get to see Chris and his friends, and he tells a story a couple months back how he was in church. There was this random girl named Esme that showed up by herself at church. Most of the kids ridiculed her because she was wearing dark clothes and stuff like that, and they started calling her a witch. They eventually chased her out of into the forest away from church, and they started throwing rocks at her. Eventually one of the rocks connected and actually got her to bleed. He kind of states that this story that's not what was the intended purpose and yada yada yada, but it doesn't matter what the intended purpose was, it's the final results. Sure enough, after they struck blood, as they turn around, Esme has quickly transformed from a girl to some kind of crazy monster looking, I don't know what the heck she is. But quickly grabs a hold of Chris's two friends. Chris mentions that he saw this for a brief moment and his instincts kicked in. He knew that they were dead the second she grabbed him, and he took off running. Before he can take off running, she kind of stops him and kind of mentions that they are not too far apart as far as like her being a monster and the way he treated her, kind of thing. But he mentions that it was a shame that she had to reveal herself to him she was trying to actually fit into the town and just live there secretly, peacefully. But now that this has happened, she kind of gives him this ultimatum: either you will forget everything that's happened and never mention this to everything, or I'll basically come and kill your family, kind of thing. And that's why we have Chris, and he's been silent for the last couple months. They've showed that the town started looking for the friends. The town it broke the town. How do you have faith in the town and its support system and religion once two random kids just end up disappearing with no story behind them? At this time, Chris has kind of told this story, and we, the readers, kind of know that this is not just regular Chris. It's a ghost version of Chris, and he's kind of telling you the secrets. But it is revealed at this point in the book that, sure enough, Chris and his mother have died in the back seat. Harmony sees this, and she's trying to explain to her father that her brother and mom are dead. And while she's trying to explain, Chris, his afterlife, version, gets pissed off, shatters the car basically because they're not listening. And Harmony actually does something smart. She confides in Chris that she did hear the story, that she understood it, and now that it's told, he can move on. And sure enough, just like that, he kind of dust away, and all we see is just dead Chris here. Harmony does try to explain what's going on, but she's kind of more taken in by the ghosts that are all around the car, because at this moment they're all kind of screaming out their wants, and they want to tell their story so they can move on, kind of thing. There's even some of the ghosts that mention that they don't want to be stuck where they are anymore. There is this kind of like heartwarming scene, and I will say that it was like it almost got me to shed a tear. But we see her mom, and her mom actually is just silent, and Harmony actually mentions to her mom that, hey, do you have a story you need to tell me? And her mom is just there silent. Basically Harmony's like, don't leave me, kind of thing. But at that moment she does realize that for some reason or other she's seeing ghosts and she can talk to him, kind of thing. And she kind of just conveys to her dad that they'll be okay, that they're not alone, kind of thing. And that's where the book leaves us off. There's no hint or a cover, nothing that gives us any clue onto the next issue. But after reading this issue, my final thoughts is, when I first started reading the first couple pages, it's not a bad read at all. It reads real smooth and everything, but at first it wasn't a story that I thought I was going to be into until we got into the car accident, and the whole book like flip-flops. I mean, you get different art. We go into the backstory about why Chris is being... honestly, it was very engaging, and when we get to it and we get to see the whole like ghost thing, I mean, I really want to know what's going on with her. Evidently this whole sparked this whole like ghost thing. Hey, but these are my thoughts. I really love the book. After getting to the end of it, I'm really excited for the second issue. But again, these are my thoughts. Let me know down below what you thought about the book, the art, the story, everything. But that's what I got for you. I'll let y'all go. I will see y'all later.